Okay, let's talk about your physical pain and how it is related to your wealth, to your relationships, to your life quality, and how even if you have an injury, if it doesn't go away, I just realized I lost a nail. Anyway, if it doesn't go away, then it means that it is from an emotional root. Okay, so let's see if I have another nail to fit on this finger. So, here's what I find in the clients that I work with is they usually come to me for something else, like in their business, like maybe overcoming fear of being on camera, releasing their fears. By the way, I had one client who, she came to me because she was already a best-selling author. She was terrified of being on camera. And yeah, she came to me. And since then, she's now grown her YouTube channel to 185,000 subscribers because we cleared her fears, tapped her into her courage, into her confidence, into her self-worth, and cleared limiting beliefs and old memories. Now, another one of my clients who came to me, while we were working together, it turns out that she actually had stomach spasms. Now, she didn't come to me for that because, you know, you wouldn't think that it's emotional. She went to the doctors 4 years before, on and off for ages. And basically, they just sent her home and they said, sorry, we can't help you. So they gave her a prescription for something that didn't work and really ultimately just made it worse. So let's just try for a bit. And then, yeah, that was it. So she couldn't even lay down properly. She had to sleep sitting up because her stomach spasms meant that she had acid coming up to her body the whole time. And of course, long story short, I healed it in her and she didn't even expect it to happen, but I know how this work works, so I expected it. I knew it would. So anyway, as we're doing the sessions, she just mentioned to me that she had these stomach spasms. It was hard for her to leave the house because it could act up at any time. Every morning when she woke up in fear. And I actually used to do this when I had my lung disease. And every morning, it was exactly the same. Every morning when she woke up in terrifying fear. Because she knew that the second that she moved, she'd be like, have these big explosions of pain. Now, when I used to, before I healed my lung disease with this same type of energy work, which is also in combining talk therapy, relationship coaching, life coaching, business coaching, spiritual law, energy alchemy, trauma-informed, somatic work. It's like a lot, and there's not really one label to give to it. It's probably like nothing you've ever tried, experienced, or even imagined. Even if you are a healer helping other people, my stuff is so deep, like it literally heals the physical. So what happened was, as we were working on her fears of being seen, her fears of being on social media, her money beliefs, she'd help me. And so I was like, okay, so let's go into the actual physical pain. And we went into it, and using my unique method, we were able to access the memories encoded in the pain, because it actually is consciousness. It's trapped negative energy, like trapped cortisol and other things like that. And yeah, it pools and it stagnates in your body and it creates a weak spot. So for me with my lung disease, what happened was every morning I would wake up in terrified pain because the second that I started moving, I'd be launched forward upright in the most painful coughing fit for sometimes an hour every day. And then I'd be coughing for like 8 hours a day for like, first we were like 4 months of the year for years and years in a row. I had lung issues since I was a kid. And then it escalated over the years. And eventually in the end, it was 8 months. Now, fortunately, that was it coming up to be healed because a year before it escalated to the worst depths. I had gotten into this energy healing work and started healing my PTSD, my mental health issues, my craziness, all these sorts of things. So often when we start to get better, the things that are really bad come up and it seems to get worse. But this is because our body's ready to face it, to heal it. We've got a tool and a technique to clear it now. And yeah, it all came to a head. And one day I was fortunate enough that the day that I almost died with, I had walking pneumonia. My coach, my teacher, Sonia Sophia, she was just so happy having her first day of the round 2 the next year of the healing retreat that we went to, and we tapped for hours and hours and hours a day using this very high vibe spiritual method, lots of breathing, lots of eyeing, which is how I developed my breathwork tapping. Hi Rosie, welcome. Thanks for saying hi. It's so good to see you here. And so yeah, basically one thing led to another, and one of my classmates, she did some tapping with me too, I think. after that for 6 weeks, but the majority of it was healed that night, which I'd been suffering for years since I couldn't even take a smoke of anything. If I'd smoked anything, I would go into a coughing fit and I'd end up getting sick for months and all of that. And honestly, I have smoked since then, like on and off quite a bit, but I'm not really into smoking. It's not really my thing. And this is back in 2011. This was healed, cleared, done, facing the grief that was trapped in my lungs, because lung issues are grief. And so, yeah, facing the grief in there, and a whole big story. It healed. It what turned from this physical thing, like, felt like horrible lumps in my chest. I was like pallid. I was like white. They were begging me to go to the hospital. And I was like, you know what? I actually will, even though I really do my best not to go to doctors and hospitals. I acquiesced. And I was like, if this doesn't work tonight, I promise I'll go to the hospital. And it did. It worked that night. It went from like not even being able to talk, feeling like I couldn't breathe, feeling like I was suffocating in my own lungs. Like, it was serious walking pneumonia. And my teacher told me that she'd seen men with walking pneumonia that looked worse than, better than I did, because I looked so bad. I sounded bad. I was like, all the color was drained out of me. I was so weak that I couldn't breathe. I was suffocating in my own lungs. And she said she's seen people look better than me just drop fucking dead, but I have a very strong will to live and I'm stubborn. And so I promised, okay, if this doesn't work, I will do it. I had such faith. And then one thing led to another. One of my classmates out of the intro tapping, she'd been with me the year before. She was asked to take me aside because I was crying so heavily, which isn't a problem. It was just so intense, which again is not a problem, but I clearly needed my own one-to-one stuff. And so one of my classmates from the year before, Jenny Brav, she's still an EFT practitioner just like me, she took me aside and we went downstairs, and for 4 hours, I think even after people left, for 4 hours, we tapped on the grief, on the feeling in my body, the feeling of suffocating. To do this method, you have to learn how to lean towards it and allow it in your body. And that's really hard to do. And so when you're suffocating. And so we flossed, we rotated between that and my memories of, what happened when I grew up in the drug house up to like 2 or 3 years old, with the abuse and the loneliness and, the scariness and all of that sort of stuff that happened, being, born to teenage parents who, live quite a criminal lifestyle. And so, I had a lot of trauma and a lot of grief and a lot of sadness that was trapped in my lungs, basically. And so it was emotional. And so, by the end of those 4 hours, I was able to breathe. Like, when before I was like, it was amazing. Yeah, absolutely. Completely better. And since 2011, I haven't had a lung issue at all. I think there's a few times I've had a tiny little scratchy cough for like a week, but almost non-existent. It was like literally nothing, just like you'd get with a regular flu, and not even that bad at all. But before that, I used to have bronchitis and pneumonia, especially bronchitis, but at the end it got really bad. But I got bronchitis every single year, pretty much since I was a child. Most years I got it. And in the end it escalated really, really bad. And then, it healed. So since 2011, it's 2024 now, haven't had a lung issue, which is absolutely crazy. I smoked on and off, but you see, it doesn't really matter if you're smoking or not. You can get lung issues when you don't smoke. You can never get lung issues when you smoke. And, I did smoke on and off when I had it, but in the end I couldn't, because every time I had a smoke, and then anyway, weed just made me, I don't know, I didn't really like it, and cigarettes are just ick, so I could never really keep smoking up for a while, even though I actually wanted to smoke. I know it sounds weird, but I have different beliefs around the whole thing, and that's okay. Afterwards, now if I wanted to smoke, I really could, and I have smoked on and off and never had a problem since. It's completely healed, completely cleared up, and it wouldn't be possible if I didn't go in and do the inner healing work, because otherwise it would have just kept coming back like it did, and until it eventually either killed me, because it's actually emotional issues that we have to face that's trapped in our body. Yeah, it's not really about the smoking. What happens is the smoking would just activate the weak spot. It would exacerbate the weak spot. So if you have a lot of grief in your life, then that will show up in your lungs. I mean, if you know how to process your emotions and all of that, then it will be fine. But generally, we don't. We all repress our emotions. We all repress our unconsciousness. We're made to feel ashamed for having flaws. We're made to feel unworthy if we don't perform in certain ways. And so this makes us split off from ourselves and not be able to look at our darkness. So a lot of this work is about being okay with the fact that you have flaws, that you have some shitty parts of your personality, that you've done some really bad things, that sometimes you're not always a good person and not who you always want to be. And so the first layer of the healing is actually learning how to forgive yourself and humble yourself and let go of the arrogance that we all have, thinking, well, I need to be this perfect person, even though often we'll comfort a friend who has the exact same issue and tell them, oh, no, it's okay. Like maybe you'll comfort a friend that's, 20 kilograms or something overweight. And you'll be like, oh, no, but you're still beautiful. I love you. Yet you put on 10 kilograms and you freak out, right? Or one of your friends, she failed at something. And you're like, no, you're fine. You're lovely. Keep going. I love you. Everyone loves you. There's nothing wrong with you. Yet you make a similar mistake and you freak out. Now, it's like with much love and just directness, this is arrogance. It's a type of spiritual arrogance where you believe that you should be too good to have these sorts of problems. And again, it's because I said of the shame that we're given to have any flaws. So we have to get over it and allow ourselves to just be like, oh, like this energy. Oh, I do have this flaw. Oh, I really don't like this. I would like to change this. Well, it is temporary. And this is where I then pray to God, or if you prefer the universe, the divine, law of attraction, your higher self, anything that comes from the one creator, the one true God. Okay. It doesn't matter what, if you're triggered by the words God, don't worry about it. If you're triggered by not saying God, don't worry about that. Okay, so let's see. Tapping gets the unconscious come out to the surface. It does, as long as you use the talk therapy in the right way. So, yes, tapping helps. Breathing helps a lot, like especially breathing, like breath work. That's why I use breath work tapping. But it really is the advanced talk therapy where you bring up, it's really inner child work, although I also do it in another way that is inner child work, but also has a parallel part that I use that's called character work, where you go into the pain, whether it's lung issues. Like I've healed a client from asthma who had asthma a whole entire life, couldn't go hiking with her family, and they lived in the mountains. And the mountains were at the back of their house. And so the dad, the husband, and the kids would go off walking up the hill, and my client would have to watch them go, and she couldn't go with them because anytime she tried to walk up a hill, she'd have a massive asthma attack. So through our work, again, just like the client I was talking to at the start, she did not come to me for asthma. She came to me for money stuff, okay? And as we worked on money stuff over the months, it was actually during, she didn't even tell me she had asthma, I think. It was during, but now wait there. Now I ask everyone. Now I know to ask everyone if they have physical stuff, but yeah. Anyway, so during the work, she'd been working with me one-to-one, in group sessions, in group programs, and she was like, had enough gumption, like enough determination to do my recordings as well, because it does take a bit to lead yourself through the pain that you have to face. And one day, after weeks and weeks and weeks of work together, or a few months of work together, as she was tapping to one of my money audios on self-worth and, being okay as you are and, releasing grief about the past, she says that she all of a sudden, as she was tapping, felt this really tightness in her chest. It went tight, and then it went pop, and she went, and she told me for the first time in her life, she was able to take a deep breath. And I've checked in with her multiple times since then over the years, and it hasn't come back because it's emotional. It has an emotional root. And when you face the unworthiness, the grief, the pain, the unforgiveness, the trapped negative emotions, then everything in your life begins to change. But to do that, you also have to face your belief system and change your beliefs. And part of you do that is through inner child work, through the character work that I just talked about that I do, where you bring up the pain, like my client with the lungs, as I said, I worked on the money stuff with her, but likely wherever she felt fears about the money stuff, it was probably in areas of her lungs where she felt the asthma. But my clients who I do work directly with the physical pain, we go like the one with the stomach spasms, or one of my clients with who was told she'd have to get a hysterectomy. But fortunately, she came to me. I had 2 clients who I've saved from a hysterectomy. They were both told that they had to get their wombs removed because they're both in pain. And they worked with me instead. We went into the womb. We gave it a personality. And we tapped in to its personality. And I had it talk to them. And then we used the healing process to heal it. And every time the womb, like big dark spots, when you imagine the womb, it would be like dark and manky and like an icky feeling. And then it would like communicate, have like, things about not feeling powerful and, unforgiveness and feeling angry and weak and like you can't assert yourself. A lot of these things came up with the womb work. And then as we changed it, these dank, icky areas, they literally transformed in the imagination and in the feeling body into sometimes bright, shining light like the sun. Happy fucking energy and all of that sort of stuff. And same with every area of your body. And so you give it a personality, and then sometimes I will turn this personality, this character, into the inner child as well. And so we'll double it up. So if you want help with this, I'm your girl. I am profoundly powerful at healing anything in your life because it all works the same. If somebody thinks that healing back pain is different to healing frozen shoulder, if somebody thinks that that is different to healing anxiety, to healing overwhelm, to healing generally pretty much anything, they're wrong. Because at an atomic level, everything works the same. So when you know how to access at the actual essence of your being, your consciousness, what you're believing, what you're feeling, and you know how to dissolve it like a caterpillar in a cocoon and then build it back up into a butterfly, we rebuild your neural networks, your nervous system, we release the cortisol, we start training your mind to think from the solution instead of dwelling on the problems. So I have to go. I've got a session coming up. If you are the type of person that are ready to jump in, you're already likely a brilliant genius. Like, people know that you're a superwoman. You already do great in your life. You're earning 6 figures. You are just set, except you're smart enough to know that you have more to go. And this is from a place of trusting that it's about the self-growth journey. It's about releasing the fears of maybe being too much or being too bright or shining too bright, or the fears of losing it all, or the fears that you built it in a way that you have overwhelm, anxiety, exhaustion. That means that you're living from your ego. And this will activate your back pain, your frozen shoulder, whatever is getting in the way of you living the nourishing life that you want. My work will help you. Now, we can start with 9 weeks in my Pure Alchemy Intensive, which is 1-to-1 work weekly with messenger coaching as required. It can be daily. Some people like to use it less for problem solving, manifesting, spiritual law teaching, solutions city, basically. 9 weeks is $6,600, where not only do we work on your physical pain, if you have any, maybe you just have overwhelm or anxiety, things like that. But if you have any sort of physical pain, we'll tap into the physical pain, and we'll also tap into your whole life, like your relationships. Like, how are you living your life in ways that don't fully serve you? How aren't you trusting in life? How aren't you trusting in God, the divine? Where are you saying yes that you really want to say no? Where are you people pleasing? Where are you maybe not wanting to give or giving too much? Or whatever your specific thing is, we'll tap into it. We'll find the root problem. We'll clear it, and we'll tap you into love so that you be more your real, true self. So you can take action from joy and become more brilliant and just that energy. And that is really worth £1 million. It really is amazing. So send me a message. We can start with 9 weeks, or if you want to jump in for 7 months, in my Pure Alchemy Intensive. 7 months is like epic magic. So much will change in your life. Your relationships will heal. You become fortified and strong and so much more confident than you ever thought you could. Even if you're already quite confident, let's be real. We all have little areas in our soul where we doubt sometimes, or we get insecure. And this will make your strategies work more effective. It'll make other methods work better, whether it's other holistic methods, healing methods, or like relationship stuff or strategy stuff. It'll just make it all pop. It'll make you know how to make the right decisions, and it will heal whatever emotional stuff you have going on as well. So If this sounds good to you, reach out to me and ask me for the details. We can have a no pressure conversation about how this can work for you. And please let me know in the comments what your highlights or takeaways and questions have been from this session. I am here to help. And if this has helped you and you want to give back, please make sure you leave a comment or you like or something like that, or just share it. Oh yeah, I cannot wait to see who reaches out, who watches this, who, I don't know, ask the question, because I am making videos for people who have actual questions about how to solve these problems in their life. So if you want to put something in the comments or even send it in a private message if you don't want it to be public, ask me a question and I'll make a video on it. Thanks so much for being here. Bye.